Welcome to the Healing Grove podcast. I'm Dr. Kristin, an integrative holistic family physician, author of Life After Lyme, and host in this virtual space of learning, healing, and growing. I believe humans are like trees, and our physical limb is only one of many. Health on all limbs of the tree, emotional, conceptual, social, spiritual, is absolutely required for the whole tree that is you to be vibrantly well. I created the Healing Grove podcast as a place to showcase some of the world's best integrative and holistic medicine, to expose you to transformative tools and mindset shifts for all limbs of your tree. I hope you enjoy our conversation in the Healing Grove today as much as I enjoyed having it. Welcome, Arleen, to the Healing Grove podcast.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Everyone, this is Arleen Ehritz. She's a friend of mine. She's also a colon hydrotherapist, and we're going to talk about what that is today. We've never had anyone on this podcast yet talking about irrigation of the colon for health. So I'm really excited that it gets to be you because you're the first person I've ever been to for colon hydrotherapy. I learned about Arleen several years ago, maybe 8 years ago, through my work at the Family Hope Center, where we're big fans of making sure the colon is happy and the gut is happy. And one of the ways to do that is to irrigate it with purified water and get the stuff out that needs to come out. So Arleen's going to tell us all about that today as a way to improve health. But first, I think, Arleen, it would be really awesome to hear you tell your story of how you got into this work.
Yes. So when I had my son, he was a very large baby. And I had a lot of complications afterwards. So I had a lot of surgeries. And with that said, I ended up with a bag. I wore a bag to urinate. And they did quite a few surgeries on me and never got better, never got well. And I heard about this woman that was doing colon hydrotherapy, and I started looking into it. And with that situation with me, not only me, with my situation wearing a bag, also too, my son ended up getting labeled at the age of 7 with autism. So like this was a whole new world for me, like we didn't have this in either side of the family. This was new. And so I started doing colon hydrotherapy on myself. And I was doing a closed system. A closed system is a speculum, and the colon therapist helps you insert that into your rectum. And she fills and she releases you. Everything's enclosed. Okay. So, as I was doing that, I couldn't believe the difference, how I felt, like emotionally, mentally, how calm I felt, and how I was starting to feel my body was starting to feel better. I ended up getting that bag off my body. And then as kept going to see her, I kept picking at her brain because I had so much going on with our son, and we did all the medications, and we did all the schooling, and we did all the diets. I was getting into fermentation, and I was a vegan, making all my food from scratch. I mean, if you go on Facebook under Arleen Ehritz or Begin With a Wellness Spa, that's my spa, you'll see all the videos of all the food. So, I was thinking, wow, I could do this on our son. Our son needs this. And the woman that was doing that with me, she kept saying to me, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to get into doing this. Because she's like, there's no way we could do this on your son because, it's a speculum. It's pretty large. And he was 7 at the time. So we were driving our son from the Lehigh Valley all the way down to Paoli to go to this private school for autism. And it was crazy. Our lives were crazy. But in between there, I was learning about colon hydrotherapy. I went to school for it. I had such a delight for it that I just was so intrigued because I saw so many children with all this, these children be labeled bipolar, schizophrenia, OCD, PDD, think about what's going on here. Yeah. And I saw even myself being not like I had speech therapy. I had a hard time reading. What a change in me that was doing to me. I thought something's going on here. So what I decided to do was go to school, and I went all the way up to instructional level. And I was under IAC, which is International Association of Colon Hydrotherapy. And I would go to different schools and learn different levels. I went all the way up to instructional level, which I can teach. But I had such a passion to assist people that I thought, I'm just going to set this up and start doing this with people. And I really, about a good 20 years ago, a lot of people came all over with their children. And I couldn't believe the difference. But what I learned from that was that when the parents would bring their child, they're not aware of what's going on here. So, especially the mama carries all that. The children are so sensitive. They knew right off that, oh my goodness, this is scary, because the parents didn't know either. So then I learned in process of doing this that I had to get the mama on the table first, because when I got well is when my son got well. So what I wanted people to understand, that colon hydrotherapy, sometimes called colon irrigation, high enemas, colonics, whatever you want to call it, it's just gravity fed, warm, purified water coming into the body. Okay. And the body today needs assistance with that because we are so dehydrated. And that's everyone's issue right now. And, we can drink all we want like this, but I don't see that we're getting hydrated anymore. I have people tell me, I drink 4 liters of water a day. I'm like, well, what are you absorbing though? And I look at people today, even from the time that we're pregnant now, that baby is around those EMFs, electromagnetic field, from the time the woman's pregnant. Whether the woman has her phone, her cell phone, or she's on the computer, he's or she is being affected by it. And I'm seeing so many people so constipated and not digesting their food, including me. I was not digesting my food. And I was into raw food because, I was taught so much with colon hydrotherapy, how these superfoods and raw foods. And don't get me wrong, I always had that energy, but I had bloating and I had gas. I had inflammation going on. And the more and more I studied, I was like, wow, this is parasitic. I'm watching people, and I have all these people coming into me now too, like, oh, I did a liver cleanse. Oh, I'm doing a gallbladder cleanse. And they're so sick because they don't understand. Wait, you got to move your bowels before you start doing these cleanses. You're getting yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
So they want to do stuff with their children. They want to detox their brains. They want to do this. I did all that with our son. And really, our son actually, and I was involved with TACA, Talk About Curing Autism, and I would go to their meetings, and everyone kept talking about, what they're putting in, try this, try that, putting in. And I kept thinking, what about what's coming out of these kids? Like, no one's talking about their bowels,
Yeah,
know?
I want to go there because I think one thing people may not realize if they've never gone to a colon hydrotherapist is that you basically, well, maybe we should start by describing like kind of what that looks like, and then let's talk about what comes out and how you know. Can we do that? Can we go there?
Yes, sure. So, I went to school all up to instructional level, but really my learning is through my clients that were coming in. And everybody comes in with different issues. But the bottom line is this: we're all dehydrated and constipated. I don't care if you go to the bathroom 3 times a day. I hear it, believe me. I go to the bathroom 3 times a day. I've had doctors in here. I have had yoga instructors in here. I've had all kinds of people in here, and they cannot believe what's coming out of them. So this is the thing. People have to understand, from mouth to 30 feet down to the anus, we're all walking, talking tubes. It starts right here in the mouth, okay? And the gut, they talk about the gut feeding the brain, but what's going on in your mouth? Like, I have a dentist in Scranton. She's taught me so much about what is happening here, which is the beginning of your digestive system. She's working on this end. I'm working on the other end, okay? But I tell people all the time, listen, what's in your mouth? Do you have root canals? Do you have implants? You might even have cavitations. What kind of filling do you have in your mouth? What kind of food are you eating? Even your thoughts, okay? Colon hydrotherapy. In that colon, you look at food, you smell food, you talk about food, your glands are starting to work to help that process. That's when people come in chewing gum, I'm like, take the gum out. You're fooling your body. You're wasting enzymes. But everything starts really right here, okay? And even our thoughts. So the history of that colon, when it gets impacted, you got a lot of history in there because you're holding stuff in there. It's not just your food. It's what you breathe. It's what you put on your skin. It's what's in the mouth. It's your thoughts. It's all packed in there, packed like a tar. And so people think, oh, okay, I get one colonic, I'm good. Well, I teach people about enemas too. So I want people to understand, if children on the spectrum can come and get colon hydrotherapy with the assistance of their parents, because all I'm doing is I'm assisting people. I'm not helping them. I tell them the body is a very healing body. if we give them if we give our bodies the right opportunity. But hydration is the answer to everything. Because when we are hydrated and we eliminate that waste, we're talking a whole different level that's less stress on the body. So I always muscle test people. I also do homeopathic too. I muscle test them so they can see how they feel. I check out their thyroid, their adrenals. I want them to feel that feeling. Like the guys always going, wait, I'm not ready. Wait. And they're so weak. I'm like, okay, let's try it again. But then after the colonic, no matter what they got going on, after that colonic, I test their thyroid and their adrenals, dead on strong. And they can't believe it, but they can't believe how they feel. It's like a high. It is like a high because you're not only getting rid of that waste, but you're getting hydrated. You're getting hydrated. And so it's like a calmness. It's beautiful. And it has less stress on the body to do what it needs to do because the body is a communicating machine. We are made of 100,000 cells and they're bacteria. And then everyone's so anti-bacterial. They don't understand what we're doing to ourselves. Everything that they've taught me in school is the opposite of what really is. And so what I'm seeing when people come in, first of all, I can't begin to tell you the medications people are on. It's like a normalcy, which it is not. But people, from the time you go into a drugstore, there's 12 aisles or 11 aisles, and it's from the beginning to the end, whether it's your toothpaste that you're brushing with. People don't realize and what kind of water they're drinking, you know? They don't understand that all this is going to affect. So when people say to me, oh, I get headaches, oh, I got this going on, oh, I got skin issues, I got that, whatever it is, it's inside the body because you got a tube from mouth to anus. We're all the same. No one's different. So it's like the inner skin. So what's going on in the outer skin is telling the story about what's going on in the inner skin. And all
So
these
true.
kids.
So true, Arleen. I just want to interject and just say I think that's a point really worth mentioning strongly. People don't recognize that if there's something on the skin, whether it's acne or psoriasis or eczema or just chronic urticaria, itching, that's a manifestation of the skin on the outside, but your inner skin is
Yeah.
often where it's coming from. The gut is the place where it starts. So let's walk me through, if you would, kind of what it looks like if someone comes to your spa and
Right.
wants hydrotherapy, because a lot of people have never done this, and I want it to be demystified a little bit for people.
Right. So when people call me, I really value that time with them. And I explain to them slowly and in detail. Look, when you come to me, there's an intake form. Okay. Sometimes there's contraindications that you cannot get a colon hydrotherapy session. Okay. Whether you had surgery the past 6 weeks. Okay. We have to wait 6 weeks. Right. And I'm not talking about the rectum. I'm talking about any kind of surgery. That's what they say. That's the guidelines. Because we are under the FDA. This is a class 2 medical device. Okay. So you're registered. You got to go by their guidelines. Even though this, to me, my system that I have, it's gravity fed, warm, purified water. You come in, you fill out your intake form. So first of all, you call me and I talk. And we go back and forth a little bit. And sometimes people have loads of questions, but I say to them, write down your questions because when you come, you're nervous. Okay. And it's okay. But I want you, number one thing to know that you are safe here. I'm very clean here. It's very organized. We take our time here. Your first session takes about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. And I give that because I want people to feel safe. I don't rush nobody. It's individual, one-on-one. Your first session when you come here, I explain everything. First, I muscle test you. You fill out your intake form. I go over things. I want to kind of know like a little history. I don't have to get into detail because everybody has the same issue. They're dehydrated. So then I take them into the room. I do a little muscle testing on them. I want them to feel the difference between before the session and after the session. If they have little children, I test the mom through the child. Okay. I want the parents to be involved with this. So I always want the parents to come first and be here with me first and get a session because the children pick up everything. And if parents don't know what's going on, that child's going to be nervous too. Everything is about feeling safe. So when you come, I explain everything to you. I want you to feel the gravity here and just look around and it's very peaceful here. And no question stupid, none. And sometimes they repeat themselves because I can see a lot of people having anxiety, a lot of people have fears. And so we bring them into the room, into the colon hydrotherapy room. I show them the table, which I called it Grace, because you feel full of grace when you're done. But it's gravity fed water. I show them the water. I show them the nozzle. I let them touch it. It's package sealed, brand new nozzle. disinfected, ready to go. I let them feel the water, how it could be warm. I let them see the gravity flow. They are in full control here. When you come into my spa, you are in full control throughout the whole session. Everything is about you on your level. So I want people to understand, and if they bring their children, then the parents will guide it. I give the parents that because they're from their parents. So sometimes if we have little children, I'll put the mama on or the dad on and put the child between there. It is like an enema. It really is. My system is. It's a soft tip nozzle. It only goes in 1.5 to maybe 2 inches. Your rectum is 8 inches long. The only purpose for that soft tip nozzle to be into your rectum is to bring the gravity fed, warm, purified water. At a gravity fed, there's no pumps, there's no vacuum. Okay, the only difference from my system and like an enema is like an enema, maybe you can get up to 5 quarts, right? Maybe if you're a regular, you do it regularly because the colon's a muscle, right? Just like your heart has a rhythm, the colon has a rhythm too. Okay. And the main job for the colon is to absorb. That's the job. So if you want to put anything in your body, that's the place. So warm, purified water, that is it. Warm, purified water at a gravity fed, and you're in full control. You will self-insert the nozzle. It's lined up and engineered. You don't have to worry about over-inserting or under-inserting. It's all set up. The only purpose for that nozzle is to bring the water in. That's it. Okay. So what happens if people are like, well, how's it come out? How's it? I'm like, well, it's like a tabe. It's like a toilet, right? So the nozzle, it will go all around the nozzle. So as you bring the water in, so what I tell them, I explain to them all about the table, I even get on the ground to show them how to insert the nozzle, how you take your hand under your leg, where your head is, where your back is, where your buttocks is, how your knees are positioned, where your feet are, no socks, no shoes. You're completely concealed. I give you a sheet. I give you a t-shirt to wear. Everything's beautiful. You smell nothing. There's a vacuum blower on the table. You get to view everything that's coming out. I have some people that don't want to view it. But I believe
Let's talk about that because people may have just heard you say you can view everything that's coming out,
yeah.
but explain how that works and why that's possible.
So at our table where the feet are, there's a viewing, we call it the viewing window. Okay, so it's cut out that you see just the viewing tube. There's 2 feet of that. And then on the left side of the table, there's a mirror and 4 feet of the viewing tube that's lit up. So it's all lit up. And I really don't want people to go looking at that because they're turning their head. I want them to look straight on. I look at the other part of it. And if I see something that they need, I want to point out to them, like a worm, if I see it, I'll let them see it. I want them to see it. Then that's for that. But I just want them to look straight ahead. So there's a little window there and a mirror on the tank cabinet that the way they're positioned, they can see with that mirror what's coming out. And I believe when people see it, like they're feeling things, and like, of course, they're always afraid to like release them. Like, listen, you're going to gas, okay? Because we all have gas. We all make 7 gases, I learned from my dentist, okay? We all have good mucus, bad mucus, good worms, bad worms, good yeast, bad yeast. The only thing that we have that's not so great is the gas, okay? But the gas tells me a lot. Okay, when I see a lot of gas, either they're overloaded with yeast, parasites, which you can't see to the eye, okay, but we can see the worms coming out. And when people do a detox for parasites, it will blow you away what comes out of them. And they're like, wow. They can't.
Well, I mean, a lot of people right now have turned off the podcast and they're running screaming from the building. So that's fine. They'll probably return when they're ready to hear the rest of it. But I just think it's worth putting a pin on this because I do a lot of parasite cleanses with my patients and family and self. And it's rare to find someone who doesn't see something come out. Especially if they're doing enemas, which I always recommend people are doing when they're doing parasite cleanses, not only because then you get the sort of validation that you're doing something worthwhile because you actually see it in the toilet bowl, but because those parasites, as they die, they can release so many toxins that make you feel terrible and
Right.
make, wish you hadn't done a parasite cleanse, but getting the bodies out, get those things to surf on out as quickly as possible, I think can be really useful. So how many people do you think have parasites? Are you in the same boat
We
as
all,
Pam?
we all
Yeah.
do. We all have them. And this is the big thing. I've got to be honest with you. Um, what I'm seeing, there's a company that actually has a parasite protocol, and a woman that assists people with it. And I myself went on it, and I've been doing colon hydrotherapy for a long time. And I've never, and what I love about it is that they come out whole. See, they're not busting up inside us; they're coming out whole. So you don't have all that extra toxins that when they bust up inside you, like they poop in us and they do those things in us. Okay, they eat our supplements and they eat our good foods, and then they poop in us. So when you get those parasites that they suffocate, they're suffocating. They don't even realize, because they're smart. These parasites today are very, very smart. There's something definitely going on with what's going on with us. Okay. And when you see them come out whole in different sizes and the people actually see them, then they're like, wow. Then they get that validation. You know what? This is going, and then they feel the difference in their body, how much calmer they are, how they don't feel like so reactive with things. Almost like a bomb could go off and they'll be like, okay, it's all right. We're going to be all right. You know, I mean, it's amazing what those things do to us, and they do to our brain and our gut and everything, our skin, you
Well, I mean,
know?
there are people who think that autism is a collection of symptoms that come from an overabundance of pathogens like parasites and heavy metals and viruses and yeast. And so I'm one of those people who believes
I
that.
agree.
And
100%. I agree
yeah,
100% because my
yeah.
son was so sick, Kristin. And then when I started doing colon hydrotherapy on him, because nobody would do, that's why I went to school. I got driven by that. And then when he was 11, I was like, okay. Once I got set up, I was like, okay. I sat down with him. I said, we're going to do colon hydrotherapy. I'm going to do some on you. And I have to tell you, he was in a special school for autism. They called me after 30 days of working with my son with colon hydrotherapy. I didn't change anything else, nothing else. His diet was driven, everything was the same. Um, he went up 4 reading levels. They want to know what we were doing.
Did you
So I
tell
was like,
them? What did they say when you told
no, I never told them. I never told them. You have to understand, like, people look at me like I'm a freak still. And it's like, I've been doing this for how long? Now people are coming around. People are coming around now because since COVID, like, people are coming around. I'm seeing all people coming around now. But like, he talked at a TACA meeting from New York. He did a Skype and he explained when he was like 14, there was a panel there and there was probably like thousands of people there, and they were asking him questions, and they said, what did you think when your mom said that she was going to do colon hydrotherapy on you? And he goes, I thought she was crazy. And they all start laughing, but he got real close. He goes, but she wasn't. He
Mhm.
explained how his first session, he felt safe with me. His first session, it was like a light bulb went off in his head. It was like a light bulb literally went off in his head. One session, his first session, what a difference in him. He's 31, well, went to college, has a job, drives, high honors through college, very healthy. But he continues to do the colon hydrotherapy, you know, and we continue to be educated about food because I've changed a whole different ball game with food with my life. I do a lot of meats and meat fats, and that works for me. That works for me. So when I see people really struggling, I introduce them to that. The opposite end of what I did with the high superfoods and the super smoothies and the juicing and making my own wraps and making my own, even my own desserts, oh, I got maca, I got cacao, I got, well, I couldn't digest that food, and I had so many people today clogging my table. And that's a 3 inch, that's regular plumbing. People are clogging my table from so much stuff in them because of all that fiber and all that stuff that's blowing them
Yeah.
up and they can't move it out.
Well, this is really interesting to hear, Arlene, because I don't think you'd made that change the last time I saw you, which was like
No.
6 years ago. And I've often wondered about that because I also am sort of the, grass-fed meat, lots of healthy fats kind of girl, and have found that my brain works just so much better with that way of eating, and my gut feels so much better. I mean, I don't have bloating anymore. I don't have which isn't to say I eat no vegetables. I eat plenty of vegetables, but I don't rely on kind of the vegan and, high grains and things. I'm
Yeah.
curious to know what prompted that change for you and what you've noticed.
Well, my dentist was always on me. You got to eat the meat. And I was a vegan for a long time. And so that made my family vegan too. So the more than when I went to see this person and she tested me and she said, you're loaded with parasites. And it's probably because the way you work with other people, you're cleaning that up, you're with them. she says also too, because you're eating raw, you know? And I was like, what? But then I thought, okay. But then I had a couple of men that were coming in that had different cancers, like a prostate cancer. I had a man that had testicle cancer, and they were doing colon hydrotherapy, but they knew I was vegan, you know? I used to feed my people when they came. I
Oh,
was
I
feeding
know.
all beautiful foods, no
Yeah.
cost, my blessing to them. And, you know, then the health board came in. Somebody went and talked, and they were like, you can't do this. We're going to shut you down if you feed people and you're doing colon hydrotherapy. You're not registered or licensed for this. You can't do it. And I was like, wow, I'm not charging them. I'm just, it's their choice if they want to eat it. I just, you know, I'm not, but, you know, I thought I'm not going to mess with this then. So I stopped doing it. But then what happened was I lost 5 teeth from everything, you know, and I was like, and she kept telling me, you need meat. I said, but I'm an A blood type. I'm a natural vegan. She goes, you need meat, Arlene. And I always had a rash on the bottom of my chin. It would go away and it would come back. And it would go away and it would come back. Forever, forever. So I was like, okay, these guys that were coming in, they were getting better. They lost the weight. They were big. They were overweight. They were bloated. They were big. They were getting colonics regularly, but they weren't doing the regular medical way, if you know what I mean. They weren't doing the chemo, the radiation. They were doing carnivore. And I was
Mm.
like, wow. So they finally told me, I was like, well, whatever you're doing, this is working for you. And they felt great. They had energy, even their mental being, because a lot of them were depressed and down and, you know, had all kinds, oh, I'm OCD. I'm like, really? You know, but it was a lot of all that stuff that was in their body that they had to clean out and then feed their body real food, real foods. Listen, don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place for herbs. There's a time and a place for superfoods. There's a time and a place for that, but not all the time. And that's how I was living. And I found myself better with the meat. It's not for everybody, okay? Even something good doesn't mean it's good for you, okay? And people get stuck on it. We get obsessed, like, oh, this is good. I'm gonna do more. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do, you know, no, man, it's not for that. You have to understand our bodies want food, and I do believe now, of course, my husband, my son, they're right on the game with it. And it's so easy. It's so simple now. Because what I was doing before was a lot of work. Because I would sprout and I would soak and I would ferment. I would make cheeses out of nuts, fermented raw nuts. And I would soak them and I would make nut cheese out of that. And I did all those things. Don't get me wrong. But now I'm doing it the carnivore way. So I'm making buns and I'm making breads and I'm making rolls for our hamburger made out of egg whites. So, like, I just shifted in a different degree. And I can honestly say to you, I'm going to be 63. I never felt better. I really haven't. So, and my son, I'm watching him. He has a girlfriend. I'm watching him grow and stretch. He's got a new position in his job. He's got a book that he wrote since he was in 10th grade, is now getting published. He's working on it. And he really tells his life about what he lived with autism. And we always took him to horseback riding. He loved to ride horses. So it's called The Stable Boy. And it's really about him, the communication with the animals, with the horses. Like he could speak to them and they spoke to him. Look, there's a lot of great therapies out there, but people don't understand. We are so toxified in that colon. It's so impact. And that feeds the brain. Do you know if you're in a coma that the colon still works? The colon doesn't need the brain. The brain needs the colon. And what I see with people, it's not just autism, bipolar, schizophrenia, it's even the typical person that has so many gut issues. And everyone's telling me, oh, I got IBS. And they're telling me all this stuff that's going on. Our pastor's son was labeled with Crohn's, you know, and he came to me and I assisted him, but he did the work. He did the work. And
And
he's like,
what was the work besides showing up for colon hydrotherapy? Like, what else was he doing?
the foods. He was doing the foods, the healthy foods, the meats, the fats. He was
Mhm.
also doing culture foods. We still make kombucha. In the beginning with our son, he couldn't even have milk kefir, even though it was raw goat kefir. I tried everything. He couldn't do it. It was still not. He was not well enough to do that. So we did coconut. Now we're talking, you know, about 23 years ago. You try to find some raw green coconuts. They didn't have them like that. But now today you can get this coconut water, but I don't know how great that is, to tell you the truth. I still like to go back to the real form of the food, the real foods. Get your coconut, crack it open, drain that. You can make that meat out of something too. I just know that the healing process is different for everybody. Some people do one session. I'm like, oh my Lord, look at you, your liver's dumping. What does that look like? It almost looks like a thick, dark pudding. Okay. And when they're liver, like, you have no control. When you're dumping that, I'm just cheering them on. Good job, keep it up, because you're like almost in a phase like you can't control it. Okay, the body's going to do what it needs to do. When the body gets enough water and your colon's like, oh yeah, I like that water. It takes it up. Remember, there's all these millions of veins all around the corner, the colon, that's connected with every organ, gland, your blood, your lymph, your brain, everything. Everything feels better because it's feeding that water. But you don't really dump right away because the body has to get hydrated enough to start releasing. But when you start releasing, I tell people, I'm like, wow, look what you're doing. You're doing it. You're doing it. They're like,
Can
what's
that
that?
happen in one session, or is that something that people usually have to be coming for regular?
Well, I believe it or not, there's some people that think they're not in good shape and they come in like they have all these labels that they have this, they have that. And then, like, I just saw a woman the other day and she was just telling me how chronic she is. And she's went to doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor. I mean, that's thousands of dollars that people are spending. And I'm like, oh, we need water. We need water coming in, you know? So she saw that, and what she dumped, like, she couldn't believe what was coming out of her. And to look at her, I'm telling you one thing right now, too. It's the little tiny skinny women that clog up my table. And I'm like, where is it? Like, where are they holding it? It's like unbelievable. And the children are so much easier because they don't hold that. You know, they're young yet. They hold a little, but they let go. They, like, as we mature, we hold more and more and more. The men, they let it go. The women, they hold. They're
You're
holding.
talking about like emotional holding as well as physical holding, right?
Yeah,
Help
yeah.
us understand, what is that connection, and what do you see around that?
Well, I think we're all emotional beings, right? And remember, everything gets dumped into the colon. Even the liver dumps into the colon, and that's where all your emotions are. And I've seen men laugh on the table. I've seen men cry on the table. I see people shake. It's they're holding back, and I always keep telling them, "You're safe here. This is your place to let go. When you come here in my spa, I want you to let go of it and don't pick it back up. Release it." The children, they don't know any differently. The water comes in, they feel that warm water. It's like a bath. And I'm like, let it go. And you can urinate on my table. Now, closed system, you have to wait till you get to go to the toilet. I want everyone to release everything on that table. I have a little system that I do at the end of their time. Because, like, if you're dumping at the end, after 45 minutes, I'm not going to be like, get off the table. No, I'm there to assist them to fully evacuate. Okay. Yes, there's a toilet that you can go on, but I really want them to try to evacuate everything while that nozzle's in them. And if there's anything a little bit colors coming out, put that water on a little bit more so we can help rinse that out. You should feel excellent when you're done. If you feel no, you should feel, I feel good. I feel good. And the children are so much calmer. I would have families from New York coming and the kids would be off the wall. I had a mama call me one time, and there were regulars that came, and she was foreign, so her English was very broken, but I could hear her son screaming in the background. And what was it? Full moon. And I said to her, do enema. She goes, I do enema. I do 5 enema, still screaming. I said, keep doing them. And she said, oh, worms come out, worms. I said, start jarring them, jar them. Because he had a silver cap. They want to put a root canal in this little 4-year-old boy, a root canal. I'm like, don't do it, don't do it. So she start jarring the worms. And I said, and you take him to the dentist. Let the dentist see what came out of him. She had 3 jars of worms that she took to her dentist, and she did not do the. I said, that tooth's gonna fall out. Why do you want to? No, don't do that to him. But she says after it was, I forget how many enemas she did on him. And remember, he's used to getting colonics, but she was doing different parasite cleanses on him, and it was full moon, and he was like that and screaming and crying because they were fighting. They didn't want to leave him. So she kept doing the enemas until he calmed down. And when he calmed down, he fell asleep. He was good. He was good. But this is what's going on with people. People don't understand. Everything that they come to me, I'm like, parasites. It's
Yeah.
parasites.
Well, this might be a good time to sort of talk about a few of the issues that I think people have with enemas for one, and colonics probably as an extension. But first, tell us a little bit about whether you mentioned earlier that the colon's a muscle and it's actually strengthening it. Is there any danger at all? Because I know there are some people who are like, oh, I've been told if I get an enema or a colonic, it's gonna, my colon will forget how to poop, or I'll forget how to do that. You and I both are on the same page, but I'd love to
Right.
hear how you would answer that question.
So I always explain to everybody, no one's different. We're all walking, talking tubes, and whatever's in that tube is going to affect our bodies. Okay. We are so dehydrated. We didn't have 60 years ago the EMS, the electromagnetic field we have today. We carry it with us. Some people have it even in their cars, right? We have it in our cars. Some people are on computers 24/7. Do you not think that that's not affecting our body? It is. So what's happening now, and this is actually documented, that our 100,000 cells, the outer layer of the cell is becoming hard. Why? Because it knows that these EMFs that are coming into us are not good. Okay. It's trying to protect us, but it cannot. Okay. So now we have our 100,000 cells that the outer layer is harder, right? Okay. So we can't absorb our nutrition like we used to, and we can't release the toxins like we used to. Plus, we're dehydrated. This stuff that's coming into us, it's dehydrating us. And people, that's all people keep telling me, I can't poo. I can't. I haven't pooped for 10 days. And the doctor said to me, that's my normalcy. I'm like, how could that be your normalcy? It's not just what you eat. Okay. I have people fasting. It's not just what you eat. Like I have people fasting. I fasted for 9 days and I did a colonic every day. And I could not believe what came out of me. But I felt like powerful. I felt so good. I had so much energy. Listen, the whole idea of the body is always going to detox. We are made perfectly to heal. Our bodies are healing bodies. They struggle now today because what we're living, the stress, the food, the water, the land, the soil, the air, we have to help our bodies now. Can you imagine these little bodies, these little babies that are being born, what they're going through? A lot of women, thank God, I believe, are getting back into breastfeeding, how important that is. And I go through that with a lot of pregnant women too. You can't have colonics your first trimester. Your second trimester, yes. And if the third trimester comes and the baby's just not, you can have some. But I tell people, do enemas. Enemas are so important. If you can't do the colonics, like way back, people did enemas. If a child was acting up or a child had a sniffle, which is not bad, like people think like, oh, I got a fever. I'm like, that's all right. That's a good thing. My son never got a fever. He was always sick. He was always on antibiotics. I learned so much through him. He made me who I am today. And I want people to understand we are here to share. It's not about, you know, I can teach people and share with people, but when they walk out that door, it's ultimately their choice what they do. It used to be in the beginning, like, why are you doing this to yourself? But I can't own that. So I know that I assist them the best I can. And when they come in, they know they're safe. And I want them to know that everything that they're doing here is good for their body. So, yes, people are going to talk like, oh, if you do that, you're going to lose the good bacteria. That is absolutely not true. You're not going to lose any good bacteria whatsoever because there's layers of the colon. If you open up these sacs of the colon, they're called haustroms. You open them up. There's a longitudinal muscle called T. coli. It kind of gathers it like if you ever get curtains at the curtain rod at the top, has these little packs, that's kind of like what the haustroms look like. But if you open them up, the outer layer is called the lumen. Underneath, there's a sticky layer. Underneath, there's where the good bacteria is. So if anything, when you get a colon hydrotherapy session, not only are you helping cleaning that out, but you're also hydrating the haustroms. So in New York where they do scoping, colonoscopy scoping, that they do colon hydrotherapy before people go and get scoped. Why they do that? Number one, helps clean up the colon for sure. But number two, that's less anesthesia they have to give to the person. Why? Because they're hydrated. They don't have to give them so much anesthesia, which is a win-win for both sides. Number three, the doctor can see better because those haustroms are plump. They're hydrated. They can see better in there. Okay. So, like, if they're doing that, how's that going to affect people? When we take all these drinks in and do all this stuff, what are we truly doing to our body? We're dehydrating it. We want to hydrate the body. And then not only that, you feel so much better after that, after getting scoped. Like the regular system that they do with the drinks, that's hard on your body. And a lot of people, they're not clean, not today. I hear it all the time. I hear it all the time. I had a guy that he had a tumor on by his cecum area, which is the beginning of the colon. And every time he went, he did all the drinking and everything else. He was too dirty. Well, the cecum's all the way on the other side of that colon, right? This is another thing too. When you do colon hydrotherapy, you're getting rid of the oldest fecal matter first. It's all the way over here by your sigmoid. Your colon starts on the right side of the body, goes up, crosses, transfers, descending your sigmoid, rectum. You're getting rid of the oldest stuff first. Win-win there, right? This is the stuff that's impacting you, because what does the colon do? Take it water, 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 takes it to the kidneys, takes it to the liver. Why? Because we need that water to digest our food. Okay. So if you're not going, it's going to keep taking out the water. And that's why we get these big boulders, these big hard stuff that comes out of people. I'm telling you, big hard stuff. And I say to him, I said, oh man. And it's like almost like the dam breaks when that big hard stuff comes out. And then it's almost like you have no control, like the dam breaks and all this starts coming out. And they're like, oh, I'm like, let it go, let it go, let it go. The main thing that I want people to understand, you're not hurting your body. There's no hurting. Now, listen, if someone has on kidney dialysis, yes, you have to get a script then for colon hydrotherapy, but there's a way of regulating that you just give them a little bit of water. You don't give them a lot, because every organ, gland, cell's going to get hydrated, right? Everything wants a piece of that poop party. Every organ and gland wants to dump. When it can, it wants to dump. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So when people get one colonic and then they say to me, okay, so when should I get my next one? I said, I don't do that. I don't tell people. There are colon therapists that do that, but I don't. I said to them, let's see how you feel. Don't get all scared if you didn't go to the bathroom the next couple days. But after 3 days, if you're not going, then we know where your metabolism is. We know you need work done. Okay. But eventually, I do a colonic, I go to the bathroom the next day, but it takes time. Now, being on the meats, I don't go as much, because your body uses all that beautiful nutrition. It uses it all. Like people are like, whoa, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm like, well, first of all, when I did start the meats, I had diarrhea for a while. That was a big switch for my body from vegan to meats. Okay, big switch. Took about, I'd say, a couple weeks for that. It was a big shift, but then I start feeling pretty good. I was like, wow, this is, I feel good on this. And it was simplified for me. I got to know my butcher really well. And this was the main thing too. I see people so congested from all that fiber, the psyllium, the fiber, all this stuff that they're doing, which is all cleansing. But like, if you're not moving your bowels, that's building up in you.
Just becomes like a brick. Yeah.
It does. It gets like hard tar in people,
So I want to ask a question about the water. You use warm purified water. If someone
Yes.
were to go to the grocery store and buy like a Fleet's enema, it wouldn't be purified water. It would be salt water, essentially, right?
I don't really, I know a lot of people are into all their different things, and I get that. And I tell people all the time, now I have what's called structure water. Now it's not on the table because you have to pollinize that water to make it structure. It takes 30 minutes. But my water that you get here, that you drink here, is pollinized, and I also ozone it too. I have gravity fed. I have a well. The well's beautiful. I get it tested all the time. But I also put my water through UV light. I also pollinize the single cell water, and then I ozone it. So it takes me 45 minutes to make my water that people drink here. Why do I do that? Because water is so important. And all water, if you look at it underneath the microscope, is clustered like a grape. The cell structure is clustered like a grape. Now, way back when I was born in my 60s, early 60s, the babies were born, and the babies had beautiful skin, and they could easily be dehydrated, but we had the mechanism to break down that cluster water, right? To get into our cells. We don't have that now because of all the EMFs. I'm seeing babies are constipated. Okay. So, like, what's going on with that? The hydrated single cell structure water is no work for the body. I could spray you with that water and you're strong. And I do testing on people. I want them to feel the difference when they bring their beautiful water in. I don't care what kind of water you drink, but if it's not structured water, which looks almost like a pearl necklace, so it goes right into the cell, or regular water is clustered. Okay. And people tell me about alkaline water and they tell me that I said, listen, the best thing you want to do is just be able to drink water that's clean and that can get into your body because our bodies are stressed from so much now. If I sprayed you with structured cell water, you're strong. And then I spray you with reverse osmosis, but it's not structured water, you're weak. And people see it, they feel it. I want people to feel the difference.
Yeah,
So
with muscle tests. So you're muscle testing them and letting them
I
feel.
am muscle testing
So,
people.
but the colon water you're using is not structured water. It's
It's my
purified water from your
it's
well.
reverse osmosis water, but you have to understand my machine has carbon filter, has UV light. So believe me, I guarantee you and it's gravity fed. There's no pumps. Okay. So what happens when you have gravity fed coming into you? Your colon knows exactly what to do with that water. I promise you it knows what to do. Okay. At first, like people are like, because they're not used to water coming into them like that. And then of course they're not used to releasing in front of anybody, even though they're concealed and they're laying down. They're not used to that. But I tell them, I said, just breathe, relax. Sometimes too, by people having situations. I do homeopathic, so I will assist them with a homeopath. But I ask them, would you like this homeopathic remedy? This will help you. I have oils. I instruct oils with things. I put heat on them. I let them know you're in full control. I'm not doing it. You're doing it. Okay. And the whole idea of it is that they can let go. They can feel relaxed because when people have control, they feel safe. When people feel safe, they're going to let go. When people let go, they feel great. Then the colon takes over because the colon knows what to do with that water. You don't have to worry about the colon. The colon knows what to do with that water. And it's wonderful when you see people like their faces even change. Like people come in, they have like the wrinkles. You can see the stress on their face. And when they're done, they come out like totally different. Listen, I've had couples come in and they're fighting. I'm like, hey, I don't want you doing that here, And then afterwards, it's like, I'm so sorry. Oh, they're both happy, They're like different people. And it's because they're getting rid of the toxins that are not recirculating in their body and they're hydrated. So
Yeah.
every organ and gland is just like, whoa. It's like my son said, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And he knows the effects of it. He knows what it does for him. And I really believe this is I know people are going to think I'm crazy and you maybe even can take this out if you want to, but I really do believe where we are in this world right now, between everything, the food, the water, and all the labels that they're labeling on our children at such a young age. Listen, people told me when my son was labeled, well, it's just that we're labeling them better. I don't believe that one bit. I don't believe that one bit. I believe many things because when my son got his 18-month-old well checkup, he got 4 shots, and that's where it began. I believe that wasn't just that. I believe I passed things on to him too. I believe the more I learned about food and our water and the soil and the land and the air and all the toxins that are going on in our bodies need help today. And I do believe that colon hydrotherapy, like we all worry about our teeth being all perfect and everything looking great, people doing Botox. I see all these young women and men doing stuff to their bodies. I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Because they don't feel good. But it's a vicious cycle. They can come in for colon hydrotherapy, but when they go back in to go get their shots, their Botox or whatever, they're contaminating their body again. The body can heal. But I do believe where we are today, colon hydrotherapy is going to be a way of life or enemas. It's going to be a way of life anymore because what our bodies are going through right now, you know, it's a little scary to tell you the truth. I pray on it. I pray on everybody. Even those that don't know I'm praying, I am praying on them. I anoint that water that's going into their body. And it's not me. I'm assisting people. I can't help them. I make that very clear to them. I'm here to assist you. And I can speak what I know and I can share with you, and you can take it and run with it, or you could just leave it here. It's okay, because people are so used to their routine, because this is not a diet. This is a way of living. This is a way of living. Even our thoughts are very important, what's going on. When people have fear, that's most of us today, is affecting the colon. It's affecting every organ in your body, every gland, every cell. And I see these little kids get better, and I'm like, well done, mom. Well done. Because, we carry that. When we see a child, our child's not well, I had my army suit on. His whole 13 years of school, I was in court with the district. I was in court with the wraparound services. It was like I was my own army trying to make it work. I didn't know, but I knew what they were doing wasn't doing it. I knew that. I knew that. And until I got well, then I could see things clear, and I wasn't so much in that fighting mode. I was like, okay, this ain't working. We're going to do that. Let's try this. And I just want moms to know, and they're burned out. A lot of moms are burned out. Mom and dads are burned out because they're fighting the world with this. They know with their child what's going on. I have a young couple from our church. Their son has seizures, and he's starting to detox. You should see what's coming out of him as far as worms. It's unbelievable. The mom's starting to videotape it, and of course she's on it too, because she's got him too. And I noticed when he sleeps longer, instead of putting him in school at that early hour, he doesn't seize. He was seizing early in the morning. But I told them, I said, do you understand what seizures are? Do you understand that the brain is trying to detox? It's a buildup, because after that seizure, they're calm. They're calm. So I do believe that parasites are everywhere. I do believe this whole thing of cancer, it's feeding the parasites. I do believe it's parasite driven. All this is. And when you got too much of the bad parasites and not enough of the good ones, or too much of the bad yeast and none of the good ones, the body's going to give you a symptom. It's going to tell you, but it doesn't tell you to take a pill. You need to clean out. You need to get hydrated. You need to start thinking about what you're doing as far as what's in your mouth and what you're putting in your mouth. What are you putting on your skin? What are you doing? Are you wearing your glasses all the time? Because I got to tell you this, I haven't had my eyes checked in 30 years, and I needed a new pair of glasses because they were beat up. So I went to my husband's eye doctor, and he took my glasses and he examined me, and it's the same script. It's the same script from 30 years, and I don't wear glasses to read, okay? You know why? The only time I wear my glasses is to drive, okay? Because the more you wear your glasses, the weaker your eyes are becoming, okay? I don't wear my glasses. A lot of times people are like, oh, you got glasses? Because in church, I'll put the glasses on to sing the songs for the words, or once in a while to watch a movie. But I don't wear my glasses, and my eyesight's the same. Think about that, right? So do I do colon hydrotherapy? I do. And he was like, well, and then he looked at your blood. I didn't want him to do those drops and do those things. So I had to pay $35 extra for him to do something differently. Okay. It's always, if you want to do something more for your body, the healthy way, not the medical way, you always got to pay more money, because everything that we do, even though we have a health insurance, we don't use it because everything that we do with our bodies is not covered. Right. So I always say to him, to my husband, because my husband's starting to wear reading glasses, I said, Tom, you don't need that. If you start doing more colon hydrotherapy, which he is, and he sees how much better he feels, and I'm doing a lot of castor packs. I want people to understand how beautiful they are for your body. I love them. I castor packs for him because he had detached retina when I was pregnant with our son, and he hasn't had any problems since. But the body heals, Kristin. It does. It heals. We can get that body well. I do believe it. Some people have a different path, and it takes a little bit longer, but it is an emotional bondage that we put ourselves in. It really is. So what we carry as mamas and dads, we put that on our children. We do. And I remember my mom saying, don't jump in that pool. You'll drown. You'll drown, because my mom didn't know how to swim. So it's that fear that we put into our kids, where I had to learn a whole different ballgame with our son, because everything I was raised with was not working at all. Everything the medical field was doing it was making it worse. Everything the school district was doing was making it worse. And so the best thing that came to me was the blessings of the water. And water is important. And if you want to put something in your body, like I start learning how to make suppositories for people, the healthy suppositories for our body. And I always say to them, after you clean out or you do an enema, then put the suppository in and go to bed. Because believe me, the cold you will take it in. It absorbs it and takes it through your body. I had to learn a whole different life, and I'm still learning. I'm always learning. And my son teaches me every day, watching him grow. Our children are our heritage, and they're teaching us. But we have to watch carefully the power that we're giving back to other people. We are the power. We are the parents of our children. And my son said at TACA, and every eye was wet. He said, and he was the last one speaking, he said, don't ever give up hope on your children, no matter where you are in place. Don't ever give up on them because all they have is you. And he's very thankful that so loving, so caring, so humble, you know, the way he speaks. And he's so good with the children. I used to have him come down here while I was doing children. He was only 13, 14, and he would come down and assist me because he was very good with the children. He understood them. He understood them. Till today, I believe he's going to work with me one day. I really do believe that because what he's been through, and he knows, he understands it. He understands it. Our children are not stupid. They're not dumb, you know? And when we look at our children, we don't even realize how gifted they are. But when we start peeling away that onion, and it always was like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, or one, like, where's this coming from? And it's not necessarily, as my son taught me, Mom, it's not necessarily what happened at this moment. It could be a thought that happened to me a week ago at school or on the bus, you know?
Wow,
Our
that's so
children,
insightful. So insightful, you know?
it's the children. It's the
Mm.
children what brought me here. It's the children of watching my son get well that I just want to share it with others. And now today it's like a whole different ball game from 15 years ago to what it is now. I'm like, oh my Lord, because every day I say, Lord, bring me those who you want me to serve, and I will serve them. What's coming in sometimes, I'm like, I mean, my heart breaks for them. And I try not to connect, but how can you not connect? How could you not carry that? I try not to, but I know because I've been there. I've
Yeah.
lived it. I know what it is. And all I say to people is like, just let it go. Let it go. Because we all live where we've been imprinted with many things in our lives. Think about the good things. Think about always the good things because there's a lot of good blessings. And if we hold on to the negative things and the scary things, that's what happens to our colon too. It's like we're imprinted with that. So it's like we have to literally redo it, redo it. And what's beautiful about the children, they're young. They're young. They're not holding it like we do. They're not imprinted as much. Some of them are, but they feel safe. They feel safe. And that's the main thing I want people to know. You are safe here. You're in control here. It's your will here. So when that water comes into you, when you feel that urge, like, I gotta let go. A lot of people are like, I'm trying to push, I can't. I said, you gotta breathe. Because people don't realize we have to retrain them to push.
Mm.
And then I have people that are pushing. I'm like, slow down, slow down. You don't have to work it so hard. Let the body do it. Let the body do it. See, we just are so disconnected to our body today that we have to relearn that and let the flow, because we are energy, right? And when the energy's damped, like my dentist would say to me, you have to understand, Arlene, when you have a root canal in that mouth, not only is that a dead tooth poisoning your body, and then you got your lymphatic system working constantly, your lymph nodes. And then all of a sudden something comes along, let's say cancer, but it's like, I can't deal with that right now. I'm still working on this. I'm still working on this here. And then you hear about Alzheimer's and dementia. She goes, what do you think that is? What do you think that's going on? She goes, oh, all of a sudden we have such a high rate of that. What about diabetes with these young kids? What do you think? She goes, oh, yes. High blood pressure, high cholesterol. People are talking about all that. They got it all wrong. It's all wrong. But we have to relearn this. And then main thing is like, how do you like you want to be safe, but when you're raised that way and you're raised and you gave that power to them because they have that education, they're like you and me. They just have a specialty, but their specialty is what their specialty is. If their specialty is medication, then that's what it is. But I don't believe the body's lacking that medication. I don't believe that. So I do look at things today and I watch people come in, and boy, I'm so blessed that I can do this. I really am. I feel very blessed that I could do this. People are struggling today more than ever. But I don't want them to lose the hope because we can get better. And one session's better than none. And I want that one session because I've had people, Kristin, that had colon hydrotherapy somewhere else. It wasn't a good experience. And that saddens me because I don't want that. I want people to know that it's just warm gravity water and you're in control. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be that poop cheerleader. I'm going to cheer you on. I used to even make songs out for the little kids, and the kids do great. It's the parents that I have to work with because they're burned out. They're tired. They have fear, and let's face it. This is kind of weird, right? It's not anymore. People are starting to really get to know it. And my passion would be that everyone can afford to do it. I wish there was a way that people can come and I wouldn't have to charge them. I really do.
Well, I
That's
mean, enemas at home end up being
right.
pretty cheap. If you invest in like one of those stainless steel, or I mean, what do you recommend as a setup for people who want to just start doing enemas?
Yes. And I tell them, get a bag, and I tell them where to go to get the bag, or I carry them here too if they want to get going with them. Get a bag, get your own best water that you can get, heat up that water at 104. It's not going to hurt anything. Use a lubricant, whether it's cold pressed castor oil, the organic press label, whatever. Lube that up. You have to be calm. Let me tell you something. I have a lot of people that come for colonics, but they do their enemas. And it's like a routine, like brushing their teeth. And
Yeah.
they know they're not hurting themselves. They know that because they know they go to the bathroom. I said, get a bag that you can take it with you. If you go to travel, that you can take it with you, you know? And
A
people say,
difference in
I
people
want to
who
get
are,
on it.
do you
Well,
see a difference in people who are regularly doing enemas though, in terms of their hydration status and their constipation when they come in? Yeah.
and even what they let go here. Like they're like, how could I have all this stuff in me when I'm doing it? I have a woman that's doing an enema in the morning and an enema at night, but she's also on a parasite cleanse, and she's seeing what's coming out of her. She can't believe, like, how long is this going to be, Arlene? It's been 6 months. I'm like, I've been doing colonics for a long time, and I'm not on no para cleanse right now, but when I am on them, they're coming out. And then I was like, the woman I go to for this parasite cleanse, I was like, why am I getting all these worms out? Is it the meat? And she goes, okay, okay, okay. Let's get clear on this. Okay. She says, no, they're dying. They're dying. And then I got thinking, because I studied, parasites, they don't have an alimentary canal, but we have the alimentary canal. So they live off of us. And they don't like protein and fat. What do you think they eat? Sugar, carbs. So when I'm still doing it, the carnivore diet, um, they're not being fed sugar. That's a big thing that she says to me when she sees me. She goes, oh, your sugar's so good. It's so good. I'm like, I'm not eating that,
Yeah. Turns out if you don't put it in your body, you can't really have a sugar problem. It's,
And you don't want it. I'm telling you,
yeah.
you don't. Like, my favorite candy bar was a Snickers and an Almond's Joy. Think about the sugar. Just the thought of that's like the other day I made for my boys. I did make, because I do make stuff for them. I don't eat it, but I do make stuff for them. I made these dates, raw dates. I cut them in the middle and then put sunflower butter in them. And then I got the organic cacao chocolate, and then I heated that up and dipped that in there. My son's like, this tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup. But you know what? So they have a little treat. I try to make little treats. I make, like I said, rolls out of egg whites, so that we can have our beautiful grass-fed hamburger and they can have a roll, So I'll do a little bit of that for them. But look, everybody has to understand it's at your degree what you can handle. I don't want people to get crazy, like thinking like, oh, like get overwhelmed. Like I have women that they don't even know how to make an egg. Honestly, everybody is going out to eat. And I know, but it seems like every day is a special occasion. And I never went out to eat when I was doing all my vegan, because I made all the food. Till today, I do not like to go out to eat. There's one restaurant that we go out for special occasions, and it's farm to table. And I know the guy that owns it. And it's very expensive, but I eat what I want to eat. We always bring our own water wherever we go. We bring our own water. But I love just feeding my family. That's my passion. I love to do that for them. I know not everyone can do that. I understand that. But do the best choices that you can. Pray over them. Don't get stressed about it. Do your best that you can. And that's good enough. It's okay. Maybe it will take a little bit longer. And then I have people that get overdrived in it. I'm like, okay, I know you're an A1. I am too, A type. But you have to also rest too, because the body needs energy, okay, to detox, okay? But when we hydrate, the body's good. It's good. You sleep better, you feel better, your hormones are better. Everything is like a little musical song. It's all blending together. But when, we don't feel good, it feels like it's the end of the world, but it's not. It's not the end of the world. And all it is warm gravity, purified water coming in at your level. How could that be harming you? How can that be? How simple is that? And watch what your body does for you. It will reward you when you do that. So I don't want people to fear colon hydrotherapy, but I don't want people to feel like, oh, if I do colonics, I'm going to get addicted to it. Oh, if I do colonics, I'm not going to go to the bathroom on my own. Oh, if I do enemas, that's not good for me. None of that's true. None of it is. But I want people to understand when you come, you're going to be safe here and no questions stupid. And believe me, I've heard some questions that I think, wow, where'd you get that from? And I tell people, write them down because you're going to be so nervous. I tell them, bring your stuff. I'll muscle test for you at no extra cost so that you can feel the difference when your body, even something good doesn't mean you need to be taking that iodine right now. Okay? But everybody needs iodine. But believe it or not, some people don't. Some people don't. Some people, I look at them, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And then when I test them, they shock me. They shock me. And then when I see what's coming out on the table, like I have a lot of people I can see, like a lot of their food is not being digested, Christian. Like people that eat salads, whole pieces of lettuce. So they're not chewing, number one. Tomatoes, corn. I'm seeing lots of food coming out on the table, more today than I did, say, 5 years ago. Like lots of food coming out
Yeah.
of people.
I would say it's one of the shocking kind of new realities that we have. So similar to when we were young, there was like the kid with the peanut allergy in the whole school, right? And now there's the table of all the allergies and the various things. And I feel the same about corn. Corn used to be kind of the one thing that nobody digested. And now it's just like mixed in with everything else.
Like I
It's
can
like a
tell
tossed
people where they
salad.
ate. I can tell where they eat. But I got to tell you something. Doing the carnivore, I don't see nothing not digested. It's digested. It's digested. So I'm thinking to myself, wow. So I end up looking into this one guy that got really sick. Okay. They end up taking his colon out and they put a bag on him. And he was told through his doctors to eat, vegetables, fruits, all this stuff for healing. And when he would empty his bag, which was the small intestines, ileocecal valve, right? It was like he didn't digest any food. It was all coming out of the bag, food. Then he started eating carnivore, all digested, because your body uses it all up. It uses all that beautiful nutrition. It uses it. We were meant to eat meat. We are meant to eat meat. There's no doubt in my mind. After everything my dentist taught me and all I went through with my teeth with different dentistry and stuff, and then I went to her and the thousands of dollars I've spent to be well. But like, you know what? I plan on living. I want to live past 100. I want to keep going. And I feel like the older mature I'm getting, I like to use the word old, the mature I'm getting, I feel stronger. I feel better. So I don't, muscle doesn't know an age. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Your body doesn't know an age with that. Like if you feed your body well and you take care of it and you exercise and your body will find the balance for you. My balance is different than your balance. Look, at some days your balance is different even in the morning from the night. Okay. It all depends what your body's going through. But I'll tell you one thing, if I eat something that my body doesn't like, I get gas. That's another thing with meat, no gas. no
Yeah.
gas.
I had
Like
the same
all the
experience.
vegetables I used to eat, I
Yeah.
made all my stuff salads. Like we ate salads galore, salads, gas. My
Yeah.
husband would be like, what is going on? But I had that. Now he didn't have it as much. Okay. But my son, he has the same thing as me. I said, buddy, you got my teeth, you got my gut, you got everything, you know? So he knows what he has to do. He knows what his life is going to be. But look, I just want people to know we are our doctors. We are our physicians of our bodies. Our bodies were given to us, and we have to learn. We know more than we think we do. You go to the doctors and they say, there you go, here's your script. How does that make you feel when that happens? You know, because they don't really know your body and they don't want to listen to you. Has anyone ever did you ever go to a doctor or a psychiatrist and say, your psychiatrist said to you, hey, are you pooping? Are you pooping? Do you have a lot of gas? Because that's what's going on with your mental being, you
Mhm.
know? Because what's going on there? I mean, listen, if my son got well, and listen, a lot of people say, oh, he was misdiagnosed. Well, he would have never gotten that school if he was misdiagnosed. And my son was kicked out of like 3 schools. I can't tell you how many daycares. You know, they were abusing him. They were abusing my son. And he's been through a lot of abuse, even through our church, not the one we're going through now. But even our church, he had abuse going on there too. But you know what? And to look at him now, you would never know that he went through all this and he was sickly. So I know we can get well. I know we can. We're going to go through seasons where it's going to dip and we're going to be like, we need a little extra care. And there's going to be times, wow, we feel so great. We feel good. But right now, people are struggling. They're struggling ever since this COVID came in. I never shut down. I never made people wear masks. None of that. I mean, I didn't get to see my mom because my sisters were because I didn't get the
Yeah.
shots. Didn't do that. My family didn't do that. My son had to leave his job of 7 years because he wouldn't get the shot. So, you know, he's in a different job that doesn't nearly pay what he is, but he's safe. I mean, the
Mm.
whole idea is, look, guys, it's our lives. It's our lives and it's our bodies. What do we I mean? To me, colon hydrotherapy, if the FDA is going to regulate it as a class 2 medical device, then it should be covered. Shouldn't it be covered? Right?
Mm.
They can't
Yeah.
have it both ways, but they want it both ways.
No, they
Okay.
do
So
have it both ways,
we're
sadly.
in the same bracket as the pharmaceutical company. We're in the same bracket. Now that's crazy because this is just warm, purified water. It's gravity, and the client self-inserts a soft tip nozzle. My nozzle's softer than what you buy at the enema for an enema. Soft tip nozzle that's lubed. You regulate the water. You release at will. The beauty about my system too is when you push out, you're still filling up with water. So it's a non-stop water. There's backflow preventers on the table and on my water system. So you never have to worry about that stuff going back in you. Everything that goes out goes out. Just like the
Yeah.
ion cleanse. Like I do the ion foot detox, a major difference while I'm doing my colonic at the same time. Because why? Well, time wise, number one. Number two, the more hydrated you are, the more you're going to release through your lymph and your blood through your feet, right? The more hydrated you are, well, you can't get any more hydrated while you're on the table. You're getting hydrated. So it's like a double release.
Yeah.
And that's how I
That's
do it.
brilliant.
I just took a picture of my ion cleanse while I was on the table on Saturday, and people are like, oh my, and it smells. That's another thing. The metal. My husband set up a beautiful system for me that I have this little cart and I just dump the water in this system that he has it all plumbed out to go outside. Okay. Well, there's a pipe, there's a pump that goes under there. So when I would dump that ion cleanse after this whole time through COVID, like everybody's on level 3. Even though I have 5 levels, everyone tests for level 3. Everyone tests for level. What does that mean? Positive, negative ions. Okay, going in there for a purpose, for a reason. Everyone, heavy metals, heavy. You can smell it, you can see it. So I was
And
just
just to be clear, the smell is coming from the foot bath, which is like an add-on that you do for you, not for your clients right now.
well,
But
the
you're
clients do it. They do it, but they do it separately. Like after their colonic, they might do it. Okay, because the best time to do is
but
after a colonic, right?
just
Because
because
you're hydrated.
people might be worried about smells with colon hydrotherapy. You're not getting any smell of poop. You're
There's no
talking about
smell. No,
the
no.
smell of
Whatever
heavy
stuff.
metals coming out of people in the ion cleanse if they're
Even
doing
when
that.
people come in here, all they're smelling is beautiful. I'm infusing oils, you know, so there's no smell at all
I can
whatsoever.
vouch for that. It's super cozy. It's super beautiful. It's very calming. You do a beautiful job setting up a space that feels very safe and
Good,
healing.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I want. That's all I want. I want people to feel safe
You've
as soon as
definitely
they step
achieved that.
their foot
And
here.
I
Good.
think this has been such a great conversation. I think we've covered a lot of areas of like knowledge gaps for most people. So I really want to just thank you for doing this and thank you for all the service that you have given on behalf of the world by assisting people in learning how to release, basically,
Let it go, guys. Let it go. There's no, everything that leaves out of your body through the colon, we have no purpose for it. You have to release it, let it go. And when we do that, it's like a whole different level how great you feel. I want people to feel better. And
Yeah.
sometimes one colonic won't always do it. It's a combination of a couple different services and different things that you're doing. But I want people to know that your body's going to speak to you, what works for you. And it's good. And all I want is people to know that their children, like our children, where our children are today, don't give up on them. Like my son said, don't ever give up on them, because we can always be better and they can always be well. And they're growing. Let our children stretch too. Show that, I mean, my son shocks me what he does. And because they can do anything, they really can. This is what's going on with our lives right now with food and water and everything that's happening. We're all learning together, aren't we? We're all learning together.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day we'll have a system that people can choose what medical things they want to do. If they want to do colonics, or they want to do acupuncture, or they want to do cranial therapy, that they can have that and have that covered, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's what I hope for. And I feel very blessed that I have this, that I can do this with others. I really do.
Well, thank you, Arleen. I really appreciate this. And I will see you later this week, I
Yes,
think.
you're gonna see me later this
Yeah,
week.
for my colon hydrotherapy session. Maybe you can hook me up with that foot bath too. I'm
Yeah,
kind of jealous of that.
absolutely. I can do that for you.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day and thanks
Hey,
again.
thanks again. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Healing Grove podcast. If you liked it, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to deepen your experience further, consider grabbing a copy of the Healing Grove playbook. With journal prompts for this podcast and 41 others, it's the perfect place to record your learnings, keep track of the tools you explore, and reflect on your own experience. Finally, it's important to mention that even though I am a doctor, nothing you hear on this podcast, whether from myself or my guests, constitutes medical advice. Any intervention you try should always be discussed with and supervised by a trusted member of your own healing team. Thanks for listening, and see you next time in the Healing Grove.